Hey guys, I did mine on sorry, a patient I scanned about a month ago on July 19th. She came in for FMD. She'd had MRIs done in various parts of her body on her carotids and her abdomen to try and see if that was what was causing her symptoms, and they did end up diagnosing her with FMD, and then they sent her to us for a couple ultrasounds of her abdomen. We didn't do her carotids. Not really sure why they didn't order that. They didn't. Uh, we tried to look up in her chart and find the MRI and the MRA images to compare them to mine, but we couldn't. Um, Melissa researched it and she said she's pretty sure they probably did it at another location, another hospital, probably for insurance purposes. But we did find the doctor's report on it, and this is what it says. Patient is a 53-year-old female. During evaluation for some neural problems did have an MRI of the brain, which was also an MRA, and this did show stenosis in the carotid arteries at various levels, which was consistent with FMD. The patient then had an MRI of her abdomen, and this showed also renal artery stenosis that was consistent again with FMD being at various levels and was a bit distally, so was not clear on the renal arteries. It will be able to follow that with duplex Dopplers. We did get a duplex of the renal arteries, and this does show this. Therefore, we can follow the renal arteries with Dopplers, and the Dopplers that were just performed are consistent with what we're seeing on the MRI, showing moderate stenotic areas. The patient also had weight loss and some abdominal discomfort. She no longer had the discomfort, but she was still having a slight weight loss. On the MRI of the abdomen, the mesenteric vessels did not show up very well. When I reviewed these, I thought there may be some stenosis in the SMA. Therefore, we did get a duplex Doppler of the mesenteric arteries, and this does show some stenosis in the SMA in the mild to moderate range and mild in the celiac axis. All of this is consistent with her FMD, but none of the obstructions in the mesenteric are severe enough that the patient should have symptoms. Therefore, her weight loss and discomfort, which she no longer has anyways, is clearly not due to the mesenteric arteries. Sorry. We went over my pictures, me, Melissa, and Lori. Lori is our lab supervisor. We weren't able to get anyone else involved. They're hardly ever around. I don't know about the rest of you, but I've only actually met one of our doctors. I've seen others as they walk through, but I never actually formally talked to them or formally were introduced. We have three main surgeons, over our lab, and I've only met one of them. And the one I met wasn't even our director, I guess you'd say. He wasn't the boss. But we did go over my images, and they were consistent with the MRIs and the MRAs. There were several stenotic spots in both renal arteries. There was stenosis almost all the way throughout her SMA. I had to go pretty far distally before I got out of, excuse me, before I got back to normal velocities. Her celiac was stenotic pretty much just there at the axis, at the origin. After that, everything else was normal. And with the ultrasound, I wasn't able to see a string of pearls that would correlate with FMD to help diagnose it. The only thing we had to go by was the stenosis and the turbulence of it, which the waveforms, because they were stenotic, obviously they're going to be turbulent, especially the one in the origin of the SMA as it comes off the aorta. I got 419, velocity. I have my velocities here. Her aorta was fine. Celiac was 246. SMA was 419 at the origin. Prox mid area was 309. Like I said, I had to go pretty far down before velocities went back below 200. Renals. Right renal was the worst of the two. Her origin on that side was good. It wasn't stenotic, but prox mid and distal all were. Prox was 218, mid was 202, distal I got 305. On her left, the origin was stenotic at 206. Prox wasn't, mid was 238, and distal went down to 79. And all the velocities inside the kidney, the segmentals, those were good. So she was greater than 60 on both sides, and there we said therefore that is consistent with the MRI findings of elevated velocities due to FMD. Which on a normal person with stenosis you might expect to see. Well, even with FMD, this might be maybe true, I could be wrong. You would see other issues like the kidney might be shrinking, or they're diabetic, you know, things like that, dialysis, where she didn't have any of that. Her only risk factor was FMD. Her kidneys on both sides were fairly the same size. There was only half a centimeter in between. The right was 9.4 and the left was 8.8. So they're pretty close to each other. So I did ask if it would have been possible for me to do anything more to show the FMD. And they said no, not really, because with renal arteries, they are so tiny. Pretty much the only way you're going to see them is with color. So I mean, even trying to find a stent in a renal artery is difficult, let alone trying to see a string of pearls or plaque or anything for that matter. You're really not going to see it. Even the SMA origin, you might be able to, but they even, when I was done, they even came in and tried to check it to see if they could get anything more as far as finding something to correlate more with the FMD, and they couldn't. So it wasn't honestly a very long conversation when we did this, but they were all pretty happy with what I got and that I was able to correlate it with the MRIs and have the two agree with each other that FMD was probably majority of her problems. So thanks, guys.